Hello, and welcome to AI News that you should know about. I'm your host, Ashley Coffey.
And I'm Daniel Hill. Every week, in about 15 minutes, we cover the AI news stories that you need to know about. This week, we'll be talking about an MIT report showing that 95% of generative AI pilots at companies are failing. We'll also talk about Claude. Opus 4 and 4.1 can now end a rare subset of conversations. We'll get into two Harvard dropouts who have launched always on AI smart glasses that listen and record every conversation, but just audio, not video. And you can now talk to Google Photos to make edits for your photos, which I think is a fantastic thing.
We'll be covering all of this and more on our show today, but first, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Welcome back. Let's dive in. Our top story this week is this MIT report shows that 95% of generative AI pilots at companies are failing. What? Okay, so no surprise here. Obviously, I am a technology consultant full time. I run my own business. This is very much aligned with my everyday. And this report shows that these findings are really ex- demonstrating a rush to integrate powerful new models as we've seen them, but only about 5% of these AI pilot programs that are being deployed across enterprise are actually being successful. The research that was done was based on 150 interviews with leaders, a survey of 350 employees, and an analysis of 300 public AI deployments. And they looked at this and saw that it painted a clear divide between success stories and stalled projects. So this is blowing my mind in a good way because now we have market validation that education is key. You can't just bring in a tool and expect it to solve all your problems, which a lot of people want that, especially since AI marketing is all shiny and fun. It's going to solve your life problems. And here we are. Unless you do your due diligence for the education, you're not going to have a good long-term success. So I do recommend people read this because how companies AI is crucial, and purchasing AI tools from specialized vendors and building partnerships succeed about 67% of the time, while internal builds succeed only one third as often. Isn't that wild, Daniel?
I'm really glad you picked this article. And this article presents it from two sides because
Mhm.
it states that some companies are doing well with generative AI. And the person who did the lead reporting on this, they said, and this was a great quote, the successful ones, quote, pick one pain point, execute well, and partner smartly with companies who use their tools, end quote. I think that's fantastic. If you want AI to do well for your company, for whatever it is, pick one thing and focus on that. Don't just say AI can do everything. AI can fix all these problems. Just focus on one pain point. That was a key takeaway for me from this article.
Absolutely. And that's what I lead with when I consult with my clients is what is that one pain point? And I like to draw the extrapolated analogy of think about the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by John Maxwell, really popular book. And one of the key tenets of that is begin with the end in mind. Pick one thing, begin with the end in mind. What do you want it to do? And let's work our way backwards. I think a lot of people are overcomplicating it too much.
I think that's a good point. This article also made the point that generic tools like ChatGPT are great for individuals, but don't necessarily apply or succeed as well in enterprise environments because they don't learn from or adapt to workflows. And I thought that was a great way to explain it. ChatGPT for you as an individual, you ask it to do a task, write a paragraph, whatever it is. Sure, absolutely. How it works in a corporate context for enterprise level where you might have to be at that company for some amount of time before you understand how the culture works and what the inner workings are, what's acceptable to say, what the procedures are. And AI is not going to pick that up overnight unless you've just focused on doing that one job and you just taught it to do that one specific thing. That was a really good takeaway for me from this article as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. And I'm sure we'll see more of that later, and we'll definitely keep our finger on the pulse. Next up, we have Claude Opus 4 and 4.1 can now end a rare subset of conversations. This is very important. If you've listened to some of our previous episodes, you may have heard us talk about the specific case last year where a 14-year-old unfortunately died by suicide in Florida after interacting with a character.ai chatbot. And it's raising a lot of questions about how we hold language learning models and AI accountable, but also why wasn't there a safeguard in place to shut down the conversation before it escalated further? So this is really great. I'm happy that Anthropic has come out with this, and they've given Claude Opus 4 and 4.1 the ability to end conversations, and the ability is intended for use in these rare extreme cases of persistently harmful or abusive user interactions. And this feature was developed primarily part of their exploratory work on potential AI welfare, though it has broader relevance to model alignment and safeguards. This is really important because this is also going to remind people that we really do not have any policy or legislation right now protecting human minds or protecting children, at least, when it comes to using language learning models. I did see today the state attorney general in Texas, along with I think 21 other state AGs across the US, are going up against character.ai, saying that they are building quote unquote harmful mental health tools for kids and marketing them as mental health tools. So hopefully we'll maybe see some regulation in the marketing realm on how things are marketed, but at least there's a company that's taking a step in the right direction for building some safeguards in so we don't see more unfortunate things happen that end up in a loss of life when it comes to an AI chatbot conversation and a person that may not be in a mental health positive area. And on that note, if you're listening, there's a great resource, a 988 mental health lifeline available across the US. Doesn't matter if you're in Oklahoma, New Jersey, Texas, you can text or call. So if you or someone that you know is struggling with mental health, please share that resource and make sure that they know that's available to them for free. What are your thoughts, Daniel?
This is very interesting. The article says that this is designed to terminate conversations that have requests from users for sexual content involving minors and attempts to solicit information that would enable large scale violence or acts of terror. I think this is a wise move. I would like to see it go farther to do more things to protect children, right? Like if you asked for something, it might say, "How old are you?" And if you say an age that is younger than you should be doing that, then it would end the conversation, right? So I think this is a step in the right direction. And it's good that these steps are being put into place to keep kids safe overall. I think that's very important.
Speaking of, didn't you report on, if I make sure my memory is serving me correctly, didn't you report on YouTube rolling out a new feature in which it can make inferences based on someone's birth date based on the content they're interacting with? Is that right?
Yes, it's funny because we talked about that on the show, and I think it was a few weeks ago. And then I started looking more into what that was about, and it seems to be legislation under the umbrella of protecting children, but really requiring people to upload a ID to confirm their age. So attaching your online account to your offline persona. And there have been reports of people in the UK who are unable to use things like Spotify now without providing an ID. Whereas before they were able to just listen to whatever, but now, oh, you want to listen to something that has some explicit content. Please prove that you're over 18, attach your ID. Should companies have access to your ID to prove who you are? That's I have since learned since we reported on that. But overarchingly, I always want kids to be kept safe online. I think there were environments set up years ago that were more designed for kids to hang out and spend time safely in some kind of secure environment. We don't really have those these days. These days, things are open to everyone. In some ways, they should be, but there need to be safeguards in place. So that was a long answer to your question. But yes, we did talk about this previously.
Thank you. Yeah, it's interesting to see just how quickly, I mean, just 3 weeks ago you reported on that. It's moving like lightning. But what's new in the world of AI?
Exactly.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll be talking about Harvard dropouts to launch an always on AI smart glasses that listen and record to every conversation. And now you can talk to Google Photos to make your edits.
Welcome back. Let's continue with our news. We're talking about two Harvard dropouts who have created some always on AI smart glasses that listen and record every conversation. Here's how this works. These glasses listen and record and then transcribe conversations and display relevant information to their wearer in real time. Two things. Number one, it's not recording video. So these are not exactly like the Meta Ray-Bans and other Meta smart glasses. And the second is that they have what I would call a heads-up display, a little bit of text that you could read in the eye line that you can see and then be able to make intelligent decisions based on the information that you're seeing. These glasses, I'm going to start with the price, $249 and available for pre-order starting Wednesday. The reason for them, the co-founder said, quote, Meta doesn't have a great reputation for caring about user privacy, and for them to release something that's always there with you, which obviously brings a ton of utility, is just a huge reputational risk for them that they probably won't take before a startup does it at scale first. This is a really interesting concept. I am definitely interested in something that is not attached to Meta so they don't have
Mhm,
even more information about me.
mhm.
Ashley, I know you're a fan of the Meta glasses. What are your thoughts about this?
One, I'm glad that you pulled this, and I want to take a step further to read this quote here because I think this is really good. Quote, the first step towards vibe thinking. Vibe thinking. We've moved towards vibe coding to vibe thinking. What? Interesting. So, first off, just to get everyone on the same page, these are the same Harvard students that quote unquote hacked the Meta Ray Bans when they first came out last year. And you may have seen it. They were quote unquote doxing people, which means that you were using the glasses to one, target people's faces and then use that to reverse look up information about them in real time. And of course, Meta doesn't like that stuff. And it was an experiment. It's not something that's publicly available. However, through that, it seems like they've found some innovation. So, two things. Yes, we need a competitor that isn't just Meta. Two, we need actual usability of wearables in which we call the shots of how they function. And the best functionality here is the always on. I can't tell you how many times I wish I could transcribe things and without having to log into my Google workspace and turn on Gemini. And when I was at Augmented World Expo in California, there was a South Korean company that built a ring that had three different devices on it. And what they did is they paired that with Apple iOS and they were able to get data access to Apple Notes, Apple Reminders, Apple Calendar, and I think messages. But the idea is you can customize these buttons to put transcription in one of those key areas, like your notes or your text messages. That was mind blowing to me. And that helped me understand okay, it is possible to have direct access to that. It's just all these companies are gatekeeping, to be honest. I like the price point, $249. That's awesome. I'm really excited to see how this goes. Might even order some because $249, that's not bad for something that is trying to disrupt the space. So I'm excited to see where this goes.
I think the heads up display to have information like that, you mentioned
Mhm.
before, if you were walking up to somebody and you forgot their name, but the glasses showed you, oh, hey, this is Daniel. Fantastic. That in itself is worth it to me, especially if the glasses knew I've met this person before. It was fairly recently, gave me a piece of information from the last time we talked. Well worth whatever amount of money to not make
Yes,
an awkward conversation if you just talked to them recently. Yeah.
especially for teachers. Think about that.
Oh, great use case. Yeah. Let's go on to the last story, which is a recent news event from Google's Made by Google event. You can now talk to Google Photos to make your edits. The company announced new features to Google Photos where users can ask the app to edit their pictures for them. This is going to launch first on Pixel 10 devices in the US, and you can just describe whatever edits you want to make to the photo, either by texting, by writing it in, or by using your voice. I love this concept. So many times I can imagine an edit that I want to have, but I need someone who has Photoshop skills to understand what I'm asking, or I can spend a lot of time figuring out how to do it myself. If I could tell the Google Photos app, remove these people from the background, and it does it instantly, that is so great to me. Ashley, what do you think?
I think that's so cool. I'm glad that you pulled this because I think it's going to democratize photo editing for a lot of people that maybe do not have that skill set. My immediate devil's advocate here is we're going to see how I want to say how dumb we are as humans, how we don't have not everyone has the vocabulary, right, to be able to articulate what they want. And as someone who is used to have a photography business, I know words like contrast and changing the tint and the temperature and the clarity and the denoising and the black point and the white point. Like there's ways to say like I want to do this. And we know if we increase the contrast, it's gonna change the tone. So I think it's going to help people understand the value of photographers, one, and the value that they brain whenever they shoot and do the post production. But two, I think it'll make people become a little bit more specific in their instructions. And I think we're seeing that right now in the prompting of like where people think something and then they type it out. There's a huge disconnect between the brain and the fingers, and they're getting frustrated with the output in AI just because they don't have the terminology. So I think it could go both ways, but it's an innovative way for Google to be first to market when it comes to like multimodal editing.
Yeah, and there's so many ways to improve photos, right? You might have a photo that you really like, you scanned it or you took a picture of it, and you would now be able to say, restore this old photo to the Google Photos app, right? And it would do that. So things that might take a very talented person to understand what that actually means, if the AI can restore it and say, okay, I just need to make this look better. I just need to make this look like it was taken more recently. Whatever it is, having that functionality, I think, is going to be incredible.
Yeah, yeah. Way to go, Google, for being innovative. I think this will be fun.
Same. Well, that is it for our AI news that you should know about this week. And now a new fun section that we're trying. What is the best thing you used AI for this week? Ashley, what did you use AI for this week that was fun?
I like this. Okay, so I used AI to see if I had two keys that were the exact same. So I went out of town and my best friend was house sitting my house. I couldn't remember if she had a copy of my key. So she sent me a picture of the key that she had, and I took a picture of my key. So I put it into ChatGPT and I said, look at these two pictures of the keys and tell me if they are an exact match. Instead of us having to like go back and forth of like, is it the right key? So it did it. It was the exact same key and it saved me a trip to the department store to get a key remade. So that's my example. What about your example, Daniel? I want to hear it.
Wait, that's fantastic. I just want to say that is so innovative. I never would have thought to do that. I would have probably either tried to hold the keys up to each other if we were in person. And if we're not in person, I would have gone, you have to go to the house and try it. Like, I have no idea how to compare keys. So, what a great use case.
Thank
I
you.
will just mention that my wife and I are coming up on 20 years married in December, which is a
Congratulations.
big deal. Thank you. We're not there yet. It's a big deal, but I want to do something really special. So I was going back and forth with ChatGPT, trying to come up with ideas of experiences beyond the normal. And we didn't come up with a solid plan yet, but it got me thinking. And that's really what I love about it is, okay, it might not be a finalized idea, but I have somebody to brainstorm with, and that person doesn't need to be off available on the phone. They don't need to be in person. I can go back and forth and brainstorm with the AI instead. So that was my creative way that I used ChatGPT this week.
I love that. Well, congratulations on 20 years in December. That's exciting. Maybe Taylor Swift will announce a new tour and you can, buy VIP tickets and for a small
I'm going to need to
fortune.
save more. I'm going to need to save more. Yeah.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that, Daniel.
Thanks. You can find links to everything we've discussed in the show notes, and you can connect with us on social media. We'd love to hear what you think of the show and how we can make it better. You can find me at Daniel Hill Media on Instagram, Threads, and YouTube.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of AI News that you should know about. If you want more tech talk, you can find me on Instagram at Ashley R Coffey 89. That's COFFEY. And you can find my other tech podcast called Coffee and Code on Apple Music, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast. But if you are a business owner and you're curious about taking the next steps of implementing AI in your business and actually having it succeed, reach out to me. I'm the owner of Coffee and Console, and we help small and medium sized businesses leverage technology for efficiency and profitability.
Thank you for listening, and come back next week for more AI news that you should know about.